Dear viewers, peaceful weekend. Today's weather news bulletin begins with a particularly notable development on the meteorological map of the Atlantic Caribbean region. A tropical disturbance is growing larger, increasingly connected with deep convective cloud bands and thick moisture layers, creating the preconditions for the possible formation of a tropical depression in the coming days. If the low manages to lock its center, this could very well be the late-season contender, with a chance to become the next named storm on this year's list. In short, the development window has lit up. The sea is as warm as a bathtub. Convection keeps pumping moisture, and upper-level wind shear is fluctuating through alternating favorable and unfavorable cycles. At this transitional time of year, when mid-latitude westerly troughs dip south and early cold surges from North America begin to influence the tropics, the Caribbean often becomes the main stage for strange trajectories. A tropical system may intensify rapidly, then immediately come under the influence of large-scale atmospheric currents, turn northward, interact with cold fronts, or transform into an extratropical cyclone as it moves farther north. Therefore, our approach in today's bulletin is to move from the physical and environmental background to the interpretation of numerical models, and then translate those into specific scenarios so that communities in Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Hispaniola, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Cuba, and the Bahamas can proactively prepare according to each time frame. We will also take a quick look at today's weather across the United States to help you plan your weekend safely and efficiently. First, let's talk about the environmental background, the three keys that unlock tropical cyclone development: sea surface temperature, vertical wind shear, and the planetary scale signal, MJO. Sea surface temperatures across most of the Caribbean remain anomalously warm compared to the multi-year average for late October, generally 29 to 31 degrees Celsius, even higher in spots, meaning the ocean column is warm enough to provide strong heat moisture fluxes into the convective layer. Combined with that, the moisture layer at 850 to 700 hectopascals is thickening in rhythm, and vertical cross-sections show the inversion layer weakening, creating conditions for deeper, more persistent convection instead of transient thunderstorm clusters. As for shear, the picture is more complex. West-southwesterly winds at 200 to 250 hectopascals occasionally dip over the central Caribbean, shearing off the roof of the disturbance and preventing the low-level vortex from consolidating. But toward the end of the week, a pocket of lighter shear is forecast to open over the central western Caribbean, allowing an 850 to 700 hectopascals low to close its core. The final piece is the MJO, the planetary scale oscillation that modulates tropical upward and downward motion. The rising phase is shifting toward the western hemisphere over the next 5 to 10 days, increasing the likelihood that convective clusters will merge and persist. These three factors are not a guarantee that a storm will form, but together they represent a possible set of ingredients, and when they coexist, the development risk rises significantly. From physical background, we move to model interpretation, a field where it's easy to get swept away by bright red-orange frames on social media without caution. In the overnight to morning runs, the ECMWF Euro follows a slow cook scenario. During the first 48 to 72 hours, it depicts a broad, ill-defined low with widespread rain and thunderstorms stretching across the eastern central Caribbean, intermittent convergence bands, and an east-southeasterly-northeasterly flow trapped between weak pressure zones. From day 4 to 6, the low-level circulation gradually consolidates, depicting a possible tropical depression over the central Caribbean, slightly west of 75 to 73 degrees west by day 7 to 9. Once the system is strong enough to create an upper-level outflow anticyclone, the westerly flow at higher latitudes tends to pull it northward, along a trajectory brushing Jamaica, Hispaniola, then affecting eastern Cuba and the Bahamas. The Euro emphasizes moderate intensity early on, compensated by a wide rain shield and long-lasting rainfall, especially if terrain interaction occurs over Hispaniola. Meanwhile, the GFS retains its aggressive personality, developing faster and stronger. Within 72 to 96 hours it closes a 995 to 1000 hectopascals center south of Hispaniola. And some runs even accelerate intensification so rapidly that the visuals appear alarming. However, GFS has a long-standing habit. It often simulates premature development. Then shows the system looping oddly near mountainous terrain, weakening due to friction and dry air, before reorganizing once it re-enters warm waters. Icon, with different resolution and a conservative bias on intensity, keeps a path closer to the Euro. Slow consolidation. Controlled northward drift, affecting Jamaica, Hispaniola, Cuba mainly with widespread rain before any high-grade wind concerns. Looking at ensemble members, ECENS, GEFS, the densest probability cluster sits over the Central Caribbean for the next 5 to 8 days. Then diverges into 3 directions. A western group, moving into the Western Caribbean, Central America under the Central American Gyre. A central group, lingering around Jamaica, Hispaniola for an extended period. And a northern group, moving north via Cuba, Bahamas, transitioning as it meets a cold front. A few outlier members show extremely low pressures like a major hurricane. But those are the tail of the distribution, essentially zero operational value and not for community decision-making. So what should residents specifically watch for in the next 10 days? We present it along a timeline, focusing on rain, wind, and sea state in the first 48 to 72 hours. It's still a cloud story. Diurnal thunderstorm clusters develop each afternoon and evening over the southeastern Caribbean. Rainfall increases around the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, Curaçao, and the northern coasts of Venezuela, Colombia. Then scattered rainbands begin reaching Jamaica. Offshore wave heights gradually build to 2 to 3 meters far from the main convergence zone. Small vessels should monitor local advisories. From day 4 to 6, the development window opens. If a core forms, gusts of 35 to 45 knots may appear near the small radius circulation. Rainfall becomes more concentrated rather than blanket-wide. Seas rise 3 to 4 meters, possibly higher within the gale radius. Days 7 to 10 are when scenarios diverge clearly. Scenario 1: Central Caribbean system turning north toward Cuba, Bahamas. The storm strengthens. Gets pulled by the westerlies. Crosses Hispaniola and eastern Cuba, producing heavy rain and strong winds on its northeast flank. Then expands its wind field while transitioning semi-extratropical near the Bahamas. Scenario 2: Slow drift around Jamaica, Hispaniola. Even if winds stay at tropical storm or low-category hurricane levels. Rainfall totals could reach 200 to 400 millimeters. Mountain peaks 500 millimeters plus. With very high flash flood and landslide risk. Scenario 3: Westward slide into the CAG. The system moves into the Western Caribbean, affecting the Caymans, eastern Honduras, Nicaragua, Yucatan with 150 to 300 millimeters of rain. Later possibly bending north if steering currents change. Present probabilities favor the first two, but differences can shift quickly once the system forms and interacts with large-scale steering flow. Breaking down risks by area. Jamaica and the Caymans will likely see gradually increasing rainfall in both intensity and frequency over the next 5 to 10 days. Cumulative totals 100 to 200 millimeters. Windward slopes 250 to 300 millimeters. With strong evening thunderstorms, mountain roads and slopes should be checked now. Just 1 or 2 consecutive heavy rains can soften soil and raise landslide danger. Hispaniola, Haiti, Dominican Republic, deserves particular attention if the slow-moving scenario unfolds. High terrain, fragile soils, limited drainage in some districts, and moist upslope flow could wring out rainfall exceeding 500 millimeters in 10 days. In such cases, wind isn't the biggest threat. It may not even be the main one. Rain is the silent killer. Eastern Cuba and the Bahamas face dual hazards if the system retains tropical characteristics. Its northeastern quadrant brings damaging winds if it transitions semi-extratropical. The wind field could broaden, causing dangerous seas even without a purely tropical core. Western Caribbean zones, Honduras, Nicaragua, Yucatan, would see stronger effects mainly in Scenario 3. Otherwise they may still experience scattered showers from strengthened easterlies and a passing convergence zone. Rough seas are often underestimated because no official storm yet. In reality, long-period swells generated by persistent easterly-northeasterly winds over wide areas can create dangerous rip currents early, especially along the Bahamas, eastern Cuba, and low-lying islands. Familiar beaches may develop dark streaks of fast-pulling water. Hard to notice without training. Please follow local warnings and lifeguard instructions. Don't underestimate a seemingly calm sea surface. Turning quickly to the U.S. mainland for weekend planning. A sharp front is sweeping the east, producing quick storms and gusty winds both ahead and behind. Along the mid-Atlantic and northeast, isolated weak tornado risk is low but worth watching in fast-moving evening storm lines. The Midwest and Great Lakes will have a classic autumn day, morning midday showers. Then dry, cool, breezy post-frontal air. Some valleys may see light frost overnight. In the southeast, Florida continues its many-round thunder dance, with recurring downpours raising localized urban flood risk from Orlando southward. Plan travel accordingly. The Rockies and interior Northwest have scattered rain snow at higher elevations. Mountain passes slippery overnight. Strong winds and low humidity over parts of the interior Northeast favor fire weather advisories. Hopefully incoming rain bands will cool those hot spots. Given that risks could rise quickly in the coming days, we propose a 3-layer, 3-timeline preparedness set for Caribbean communities. In the first 72 hours, please clean, dry and clear gutters and drain grates. Trim branches near roofs. Review household medical kits, backup batteries, flashlights, and bottled water for 3 to 5 days. Check basement or low-area pumps. Small boat fishermen should follow marine bulletins and consider sheltering in protected bays once offshore waves exceed 2.5 to 3 meters. If meteorological agencies upgrade to a tropical depression or storm alert, move to heightened readiness. Pre-list essential supplies for evacuation. Identify safe high-ground shelters. Note rescue and local authority phone numbers. And pay special attention to landslide-prone mountain roads. When prolonged rain falls on steep slopes as in Haiti Drive, never attempt to cross streams or flooded fords. One risky move can cost a life. Let's also clarify uncertainty. Beyond 6 to 7 days, any track and intensity map should be treated as scenarios for preparation, not promises. Why is late-season forecasting so tricky? Not because models weaken, but because the atmosphere is changing lanes. Westerly jets, cold fronts, and upper-level disturbances constantly reorganize, making favorable-unfavorable shear windows open and close rapidly. The most practical step for communities is to grasp timing when conditions worsen. Key hazards: where heavy rain, when rough seas, how far strong winds extend, and simple, proven safety rules: don't cross swift water, don't stand below unstable slopes, stay off beaches under swell or rip current warnings. From the editorial side, we promise a cautious approach. We won't buy over-amped intensity frames, nor draw misleading analogs, yet we won't ignore real signals of risk, especially rainfall and landslide hazards on steep terrain and early offshore swell threats. In upcoming bulletins, we'll continue to highlight the distinction between a single model run and multi-model, multi-member consensus, helping you read correctly, understand correctly, and act correctly. Before closing, on behalf of the team, I thank you for your support, feedback, and for spreading safety messages throughout your communities. If you find this bulletin useful, please subscribe, ring the bell to avoid missing key updates, and comment your location so we can fine-tune local risk highlights. As usual, if you have prayers or messages for loved ones, share them in the comments. We uplift one another through peace and responsibility. For those interested in creative tool discounts, links are included below. 1 of 10 with code GODA. Nextlive extension and Nextlive niche finder and course code GODA 20% off. And VB voice Vietnamese code GODA3 30% off via pinned link. All links comply with platform transparency rules and carry no hidden costs. The YouTube community guidelines link is also pinned so we can build a respectful, helpful space together. Once again, let me restate today's core message. The Caribbean is entering a sensitive weather window. A tropical system could form and develop within 4 to 6 days. From day 7 onward, its path and nature will be determined by large-scale steering flow. With a northward route via Jamaica, Hispaniola, Cuba, Bahamas, the higher preparedness scenario. Though a westward drift can't be ruled out if local winds shift. In all cases, prolonged heavy rain on steep terrain is the #1 danger, and rough seas offshore will arrive earlier than coastal winds. Preparing today is the best way to avoid surprise tomorrow. Wishing you a safe, warm, and peaceful weekend. See you in the next bulletin, where we'll continue to accompany, explain, and remind with calm and responsibility, so everyone can make the right decisions for their family and community.